All right, hello people from the internet. Hello everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. The time has come for me to make another non-gameplay video. This is about Zin, the lawgiver, the Zin overview. So I was gonna go in order, but I just finished the overview of Elivilon, and I figured that considering how much I talk about Zin and the Shining One, the correct thing to do is to just make the 3 videos in a row for the good gods, because Elivilon is all the way over there in E, and Zin, Z, I guess some people pronounce it Z nowadays, or like spell it Z, and then there's the Shining One, which is the final one. So I might as well just get rid of the good gods now, and so you can have like the good gods all in a close pocket of time in a close time frame. Anyway, Zin is a god of discipline. It's already not something that I'm very fan of. Followers must remain pure of body and soul, refraining from dark magic and chaotic acts. They must also tithe a fraction of all gold gained, preferably followed by donations of more. In exchange, worshippers may invoke Zin's wrath upon sinners and eventually gain various divine protections. Zin's followers can convert to Elibilon or the Shining One while keeping some piety. So yeah, these are the good gods, in case you don't know. Zin, Elibilon, and the Shining One. These gods share some interesting properties, such as being able to convert to other ones of the good gods while keeping some piety, no wrath unless you abandon for an evil god, and refusing worshippers if they are demonic or undead. Mm, Also, getting mad at followers when they use necromancy and do other things. Like, for example, Sin really doesn't like it when you mutate yourself because remain pure of body and soul. Um, so, in addition to the normal penalties or the normal things that good gods don't want you to do, such as using necromancy, draining monsters, evil stuff, summoning demons, etc., etc., Zin also doesn't like it when you mutate or use transmutations, or most transmutations. I think that maybe Zin doesn't care about Petrify, Mm, but like things that change yourself, Zin is gonna get mad at. Don't worry about not knowing which ones you don't or Zin doesn't like. The game will let you know by making them bold red. So yeah, Zin is, in my opinion, one of the worst gods in the game. Essentially atheist. I have had characters with 27 invocations use Recite versus mummies in Tomb, and Recite has still not really done a lot for me. So I don't think that Sin is a god that I would recommend to anyone personally. I really, really don't like Sin, and I feel like your god slot is better spent in pretty much anything else other than Sin. Um, you could even consider Sin to be a hindrance, a handicap that you can place upon yourself because of the amount of things that Sin prevents you from using. No demon weapons, Condenser Bane becomes a very risky thing. If you're curious about that, I have a video on my YouTube channel that I made a while ago, where like it was literally the only time that I've gotten excommunicated from a religion in Crawl ever. I was using Condenser Vein because the character was so miserable that that was literally the only way that I could really handle large amounts of monsters. And I got clouds of negative energy, and I got my piety drained so much by the clouds of negative energy that Sin excommunicated me. And then I had to go worship Sin again. And then I got clouds of negative energy again, but I don't think that the second time I got excommunicated. I think that I only got wrath or like penance the second time. Still pretty bad. I don't think that I've ever had a good experience with a Sin character. Sin is barely anything, in my opinion. But yeah, enough trash talking, Zin. By the way, if you have had a good experience with Zin, please be sure to comment. I am very interested in knowing how or why you had a good experience with Zin and what makes you feel like Zin was part of the reason why you had a good experience in your game. But anyway, Sin occasionally guards your life. I've already talked about this in the Elibilon one. It is unreliable unless you're with Elibilon, so you should not really trust on this. It's not gonna happen when you need it to happen, so yeah, don't rely on it. It's gonna be nice if you get your life saved and you survive and you win the game because of that. But yeah, I personally don't like that kind of ability. It's just too RNG. I feel like I got lucky if it happened, and I got unlucky if it didn't happen, and both things are not something that I appreciate in my gaming in general. Um, Shield occasionally, Sin occasionally shields you from chaos. I think this is mutation resistance or something along those lines. Um, let's read this. Sin grants followers the ability to preach to the unenlightened masses and powers to vitalize their bodies, protecting them from various afflictions. Later followers gain the ability to imprison their foes temporarily. Followers can eventually find temporary safety in a divine refugee. As piety grows, followers will be protected from mutation and the hells, and Sin may even occasionally directly intervene to save a follower's life. Sin likes it when you donate money and you kill unclean or chaotic beings. And yeah, Sin dislikes a lot of stuff. I I'll talk about that when I talk about it. So occasionally shields you from chaos. Um, I don't know if it's actually mutation resistance, but I think it might be mutation resistance. Um, if it is mutation resistance, I really don't know how effective it is. As I have already mentioned a lot in this video, I am not the biggest fan of Sin, and by extension, I do not really. I'm not really up to date with how Sin works in this version. It is literally one of my least played gods, and it is by far my least favorite god in the entirety of the game. I just despise Sin, so I cannot really tell you a lot about Sin. Um, other than my personal experience, which you have already heard. My recommendation is to not play Zin, but you should do it and form an opinion for yourselves anyway. Um, and do let me know if you end up liking or not liking Zin. I would also appreciate that. Um, so yeah, Zin rarely shields you from hell. Rarely shields you from hell. Oh yeah, hell effects. So every time you go into a newer level, or not newer level, every time you go into a next level on hell, so you go into hell 1 and you get a hell effect, and then that's the only hell effect because that's how hell works nowadays. It used to be that every now and then you got a hell effect, so resting in hell was very difficult. Now it's not so difficult, but if you get out and you go back in again, every level is going to give you a hell effect. So it might be unfavorable to start dance. And since hell has a thing where you cannot just retreat to the previous level of hell, you go all the way up to the vestibule. That can be painful. So Sin rarely shielding you from hell can be nice. I don't know exactly what this means. If it is like that, where Sin prevents hell effects, that's rather okay. If it prevents damnation or things like that, then that's a significantly more interesting thing to have. I still think that the Shining One is just objectively better when going into extended because the Shining One does way better things than Sin does. But that's just me. Do let me know once again if you disagree with what I am saying about Sin, because I feel like some people really like Sin for who knows what reason. You can recite Sin's axioms of law. So this gives you a status effect for a couple of turns where the character is reciting like something that's taken from what's essentially Zin's Bible, and you can sometimes cause very violent effects on monsters. You can make them permanently dead or permanently mute and blind. You can make them turn into pillars of salt. You can stupefy them, which makes them pretty much permanently paralyzed. It's very flashy, very violent effects. If you get like super high rolls, more often than not, you can confuse them and do stuff like that or daze them. And sometimes it doesn't even do anything. So yeah, I don't like this because for a god of discipline and order, it's way too much of a chaotic effect. I prefer when things do something, and I know what they're gonna do, instead of having to rely on them to do something really cool and end up being disappointed. So yeah, I'm not a fan of Sin. Recite is such a fundamental part of Sin. It is essentially a free ability. It only takes a couple of turns, and you have a little bit of a cooldown after you use it, so you cannot just spam it. But it doesn't cost mana. It doesn't cost piety. You just do it. It's a free ability, but the thing is that if you say that it's a free ability, you're not taking into account the fact that you have to go Zin for it. If it was a free ability and then you could also worship a god, that would be nice. But the fact that you have to go Zin um, is not really a good thing for me. And if you're going Zin for Recite, I don't know. You can call upon Zin for Vitalization. Vitalization. That's a really strong ability. Give me a second. Let me pull it up. Mm, mm, Vitalization temporarily provides protection from poison, confusion, petrification, and sickness, as well as the effects of clouds and foul pestilence. Your strength, intelligence, and dexterity are also temporarily increased by a degree, dependent on the invocation's skill, and cannot be drained while the effect is active. The increase in stats scales with invocations. I think that it is one stat every 3 invocations. So by 27 invocations, you would have +9 in every stat if you use this. Way less powerful than Chebriados's +15 with no piety investment. But on the other hand, you have to go Chebriados, so there's that as well. Now, Vitalization's piety cost is not very high. I think that Sin likes it when you kill things that he doesn't like, and also exploration piety. Donate money and you kill unclean or chaotic beings. So it's not really exploration piety, but it kind of is, because you automatically donate money when you auto explore and you pick it up. So it kind of is the exploration piety as long as you're finding money. For example, it's not going to be exploration piety in slime, but in slime, you're going to get piety from killing slimes because Sin doesn't really like most slimes. So there's that. Sin doesn't like the monsters that get hit by extra damage by silver attacks. Leviathan of Order, silver jabs, silver boomerangs, and that's pretty much all silver there is in this game. Um, so yeah, if it would get hit by extra damage from that, Sin likes it when you kill it. This includes Orbs of Fire, funnily enough. Mm, you can call upon Sin to Imprison the Lawless. This ability is pretty strong. What it does is that you target a monster and it surrounds it with a tile of, or with like 9 tiles of silver walls, which is pretty much exclusive to this ability, silver walls. I assume that it's like metal. And then you just walk away. So it doesn't really kill the monster, but it also makes it so that the monster cannot kill you. This is a recurring trend with Sin. It makes it so that the monster cannot really kill you, but you don't really fix the problem by killing the monster. So you will still have the problem later on. There's ways to take advantage of this by just like walking away or leaving the level altogether if it's too high level of a monster. For example, if I was somehow a worshipper of Sin in Lair and I found Rupert, I would immediately use that on Rupert and walk away and leave the level. I think that it makes it pretty safe to to walk around. If you find a scary monster, you just do that and like just leave, go elsewhere. Um, However, that strongly clashes with what I like to do in Crawl. In Crawl, I like to be able to fight the things that I find instead of just running away from everything. That's why I like gods like Behemoth that just like straight up give you the power to do exactly that for the entirety of the game. Sin is the opposite. Sin makes it so that you can skedaddle away from everything, but that's not something that I like to do. If you like to do that, if you like to be able to easily disengage from things, Sin is gonna be something that you're probably gonna like, but it's just not for me. Um, You can call upon Zin to create a sanctuary. Once again, this is another very strong defensive ability that Zin has that has exactly the same issue that Imprison has. Sure, you're making it so that monsters cannot kill you, but you're also not killing the monsters. So whatever monsters got you in a position where you need to use Sanctuary, they're probably gonna be able to do it again because Zin straight up doesn't give you more power to actually kill them. Mm. And that's something that I really do not like. Sanctuary is a way to guarantee that you're not gonna die because I think that while you're in the sanctuary, the monsters cannot attack you. Um, Rebind Refugee for a short duration while you're inside the sanctuary. Monsters will not attack you, but the protection will disappear at once should you breach the divine peace. So yeah, do not leave the sanctuary. Do not attack things in while in the sanctuary. Um, the piety cost for this is extremely large, so it is a guaranteed way to kind of save yourself. But then you have to re-teleport and probably drink a potion of ambrosia or two to try to make it so that you survive after the teleport. I just don't like these abilities. They're not what I am looking for in a god. What I'm looking for in a god is the ability to make it so that I'm not in these positions in the first place. So yeah. Sin will cleanse your potions of mutation. I think that when you get to 6 pips of piety, Sin makes it so that potions of mutation cannot give you or cannot mutate you. They only take away mutations. Um, so that's a nice thing, kind of. It can be useful, definitely, to get rid of bad mutations. I think that bad mutations are not really something that matters a lot in Crawl. I have played hundreds of victorious characters. I am getting close to 300 wins. And I can tell you for sure that Crawl does not have that much when it comes to bad mutations. Like, bad mutations are not something terrible to be permanently worried about. Certainly not enough for you to want to go sin specifically to prevent them. Um, you often get enough potions of mutations to get rid of any nasty, like truly nasty bad mutations that you get. There's some like the body part mutations um or a stat rot that are like whatever. It's just like a minor annoyance. I can deal with it. But there's some like teleportitis or minus a scroll or berserkitis that you might really do want to get rid of it immediately. Um, there's also like that to take into account. You should not just immediately get rid of or like drink all your potions of mutation because you got one bad mutation. Only it's one of the really nasty ones. As long as you do that and also exercise caution when dealing with monsters that can malmutate you, it really shouldn't be that much of an issue to win a game relatively unmutated until Sot, of course, because Sot has Orbs of Fire. And Orbs of Fire are designed in such a way that they're gonna mutate you. Unless you are a really, really strong mage, they're gonna mutate you because really strong melee characters don't kill Orbs of Fire fast enough. They just have too much armor class, too much evasion, too much HP. Really strong mages do get rid of Orbs of Fire fast enough. They can kill Orbs of Fire with 2 or 3 actions if their mage is strong enough. So those ones don't really have to worry too much about getting malmutated. Melee characters do, but at the end of the day, it's SOT 5, so you're about to win the game. So whatever, who cares if you get malmutated for the very last part of the game? It is extremely unlikely that such a thing will kill you. I have had it happen, but only on really strange occasions. Like for example, in a tournament last year, I was doing Lord of Darkness 3, which is winning a run without going into Lure, into Orc, or into Bolts. So you need to get runes from Hell or Pandemonium and win the game like that. I was in SOT 5 and I got minus a scroll, and then that killed me in SOT 5. But that was a really very rare occasion where I just didn't have a potion of mutation to get rid of it. Normally, it's not gonna happen. I can almost guarantee it. Mm, But anyway, you can donate money to Sin. So yeah, this just adds insult to injury. I've already expressed throughout this video all the ways that I don't like Sin. This is like just the cherry on top. I don't like what Sin has to offer, and in order to access the things that Sin has to offer, I have to give money to Sin. How does that work? Like, why would anyone do this? Why not go Gozag instead? Gozag is the opposite of Sin in the sense that Gozak actually gives you money for worship and instead of taking money away from you. Not to mention that Sin hates all the things that he hates, so no transmutations, no demon weapons, no necromancy. Not a big deal for me personally, but no summoning really strong nasty stuff, which is sad because some of the strongest summons in the entirety of Crawl are evil. Haunt is evil. Summon horrible things is evil. I don't think Summon Dragon is evil. It may be considered chaotic for some silly reason because it can give you a bunch of different dragon types, so you don't actually know what you're getting. That may make it chaotic. I actually don't really know. But anyway, Sin just is nonsensical to me. I really expect Sin to eventually get a rework, but I also expect the rework of Sin, the hypothetical rework, to be pretty much more of the same. I will still give it a try if it eventually happens, but I am sure that it's not gonna be something that I like because at the end of the day, Sin is just the design philosophy behind Sin is to do a bunch of things that I don't really want from my gods. I guess that's all I have to say. So Wrath, once again, this is even more irrelevant than usual on the good gods because Zin, as all good gods, only get mad when you go certain gods after abandonment. Not all gods. Sin dislikes it when you attack neutral beings or you attack monsters in a sanctuary. Strongly dislikes it when you use evil magic or items you attack non-hostile, well, a bunch of stuff. You use unclean or chaotic magic or items or you polymorph monsters. Sin does not like so many things. It's actually cartoonish. Um, those who latter take up the worship of an evil or chaotic god will be scorched. Kiku, Jred, Maklev, Lugonu, Beog, and Menos are evil. We've already talked about these. Some and Jiva are chaotic. So yeah, and even more of a reason to not go Zin is that you cannot go Jiva if you abandon Sin. Because you're eventually gonna be like, wow, Sin sucks. I wanna go a different god. And normally when you find yourself in the mid game without a god, Jiva is by far the strongest option in the whole game. Sin prevents you from going Jiva, so that kind of sucks. Those under Sin's wrath will find their good mutations stripped away. That's nasty. Their enemies altered, and their senses confounded by the actions of law. Confusion, fainting, and complete paralysis will be their lot. Very scary mutations, or very scary wrath, specifically the paralysis part. I think monsters now can only paralyze you for up to 5 turns, but I don't think those rules apply to gods, so I wouldn't be surprised if complete paralysis from Sin means more than 5 turns of paralysis, which, yeah, it's pretty bad. Since Rad lasts for a relatively short duration, because it's probably gonna kill you before it wears off, I suppose. So yeah, do not abandon Sin for these gods, I guess. Other than that, I would recommend you to do that, to abandon Sin. And yeah, I guess that's all I have to say about Sin. I really do not recommend you to go this god, but I also recommend you to give it a try and form an opinion for yourself. Maybe you find that you really like it for who knows what reason, but I know certainly I'm not one of those Sin likers. Yeah. And thank you to my supporters on Patreon, Anthony Emergence, Blink and Die, Dulos Ball, Inan, Grafophilia, and Fede. I appreciate your continued support. I hope that you like the content that you have been getting and never hesitate to reach out if there's something that you want me to make a video about. I appreciate your continued support. Thank you for everything. See you around.